Welcome back to Delivering More, folks. We appreciate you tuning in. I'm your host, Ben Alcar, and we have another great Meet the Team to bring to you today. I have a beautiful, beautiful team member with me, Victor Griffin. Vic, how we doing, dude?
What's up? I'm doing good.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you on here. I know we've had some people out there clamoring to get on, possibly you being one of them. So I'm excited to get this conversation going. How's the field looking out there today?
Oh, it's a good day. You know, it's a Thursday, running big. Can't ask for anything else.
Yeah, I came over there. You were doing some like post training, maybe we call it. You just had some new employees go through like their 2-week training. You're kind of still helping them out as they get on the actual floor. How's that going?
Oh yeah, you know, at this point you gotta get those repetitions in. The more calls, more texts you can handle, the more familiar you are with everything. So it's going well. They're hitting the phones soon, and everyone will talk to them before we know it.
Yeah, that's great stuff. We'll start it out nice and easy, how we always do, and this one we'll actually switch it. I'm excited to have Vic on here because he's not a Canton, Ohio, Northeast Ohio, born and raised boy.
No.
Where were you born? Where'd you grow up?
So I'm from the South. I was born down in Atlanta, Georgia, but I grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina. Most of my life, I've been in and out of Ohio for a couple of years, but I still claim Charlotte as home.
Charlotte, North Carolina, like, are we talking right in the heart of Charlotte, or are there like suburbs around there? Where were we?
Oh, no. I live about almost an hour from Charlotte. It would almost be like saying, hey, I live in Cleveland, but live in Akron. But once again, it's the middle of nowhere, but a small town called Sherrills Ford, North Carolina.
Sherrills Ford.
Yeah, Sherrills Ford.
Was Cheryl Ford, is that a great woman, we think? Is that what that town's named after?
No, so the Sherrills were a family, and they built a dam on the river. It's like a ford is what the term is called. And so that's how they crossed the river.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Oh yeah. When you did you ever play what was that, the Oregon Trail?
Oh yeah.
You had to ford the river. Is that what they said?
Yep.
When you
literally that's what it
chose
is.
one of those options? You just always lost all your supplies. Yeah. It's just a guaranteed.
Get washed away.
Yeah, guaranteed you lost like one of the bucks or the cattle just immediately, immediate death. That's amazing. What was your first job down there in Sherrills Ford?
Well, I've never worked in Sherrills Ford because there's nothing there.
Okay. Okay.
Technically, it's not a city. It's a unoccupied landmass, just a giant area.
Okay.
But for a while down in Charlotte, though, my first job was the next town over in Terrell, North Carolina, spelled same as our CEO's last name, but Terrell, not Terrell. And
is it really spelled the same?
Terrell, but it's Terrell. And there was a country store there, and my first job was actually scooping Italian ice and ice cream.
Okay.
At that shop. I did that for about 4 months until I got fired. But,
fired? Did you eat a little ice cream on the job?
Oh no, that was allowed.
Okay.
But my neighbor was my boss, and my neighbor was also working for us. And I got them to cover my shift. Then they didn't show up for my shift, and so it's like, we're a little community. I tried to point the finger like, no, it's your job. So my neighbor fired me, then they hired me again the next year and gave me another shot.
Okay, what did you have a favorite flavor of shaved ice or ice cream while you were there?
Favorite flavor, I would say, would definitely be tie-dye. It was lemon, lime, blue raspberry, and lemonade put together. So it was pretty good. You can still find it at some places. If you
just
find
a guaranteed like purple tongue after.
Oh yeah.
Your mouth is just completely different colors.
But yeah, that job though, the best part was they actually got me into the Panther Stadium. So later on they started vending for the Panthers. So I used to walk up and down the aisles, selling Italian ice during the middle of the games.
Dude, when we go to the Guardians game, they have like that lemon shaved ice or flavor ice. That's like one of my go-tos. Like I have to get it when I go. It's so good.
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
I like to think that's where I kind of got my sales experience because I learned how to find the people in the sun, walk over, make eye contact with the children, wave it. Next thing I know, they're pulling on their parents' shoulder. Hey, can I have $5?
You're getting tips there too, probably.
Oh yeah,
pocketing those tips. Yeah,
that's how we made the money.
Yeah, and you're getting those steps in before getting the steps in was cool. Before the Apple Watches, things like that. It was good stuff.
All the steps.
Unbelievable. What age range are we talking about that job?
That would have been like 14 to almost 20.
Almost 20. Okay, so we're into the college career then while you're there? What's your time after high school look like?
Yeah, so that was always a side job. I only worked in the shop for my sophomore year of high school.
Okay.
But then the Panthers, I did that for almost 7 years.
Dang.
Just on the side for home games. It ended up just being kind of the warmer home games, so only 4 or 5, but it was fun. I actually never had to pay to go to a Panthers game until the NFC Championship when I got to see them.
Yeah, and you were just down there, this past week 1 for Browns Panthers? Was that week 1?
That I think it might have been. Yeah, man, that was last year. It's been a while.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. Yeah,
Baker.
That was his first start. Yeah, his first start back. Or wait, was that?
That was his first start on the Panthers.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
then he's no longer there. That's fine.
Yeah. I mean, hey, shout out Baker Mayfield. We always love him. What did you go to school out of college out of high school?
Yeah, so I went to college down there near Charlotte, a school called Gardner-Webb University.
They got basketball, football. They're pretty good sports usually.
Yeah,
right?
they've been in like the play-in games before for the tournament. They're technically D1, but Division II or AA.
Cool. All right. What were we doing down there education wise?
I was actually pursuing an athletic training degree. So nice. I graduated, became a licensed and certified athletic trainer, and so that was kind of my original career path.
Nice. That's actually pretty interesting. I wanted to do something similar when I went to Athens. My initial plan was to do exercise physiology and do like physical training and stuff after I lasted about a semester.
Yep, and that's actually how I got to Athens. Was I got into the grad program for athletic training there, and Dr. Starkey, he actually wrote my textbooks for undergrad, and he was the head at the program in Athens at OU. So that's how I actually found my way up to Ohio initially, was because of that program.
That's amazing. So you got your 4-year degree, and then is that like a 2-year program after?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a 2-year program. I never finished that program. That's kind of when my life shifted into customer service, but that's how I got up here to Ohio. Everyone asks, how'd you get here? It's like, well, I started for college and then got stuck.
Well, but then my first, I mean, this might be skipping a lot of years here. So that would have been like when you're like 22, 23-ish maybe?
Yeah, so I graduated undergrad in 2016 and I started there summer semester 2016.
Okay. So, and then as far as my first knowledge of you, are we so your knowledge of DeliverThat is always based around your friendship with Christian, right? And that was in high school, I believe?
Yeah, we knew each other from high school, and then when I moved up to Ohio, I ended up living close to him again, so we reconnected when I moved up here.
Okay, and then so that would have been, like you said, around 2017, so he started with DeliverThat in 2018, like I think like that summer, I believe.
Yeah, well, him and I actually started as drivers before then.
Right.
It was around the holiday season 2017. End of the year 2017 was when we both came on. Christian actually started. He was driver for us first. He met, I think, Aaron, and they went on a ride along.
In Columbus, right?
Remember, he came home. He was like, Vic, this is so much better than Postmates, because that's me and him were both doing Postmates on the side for a side hustle. And so that's how we kind of figured it out. And then I signed on and started doing all of the Boston market deliveries and all the holiday stuff.
We would have been with Qdoba back then too. We're back with them now, thankfully. Those franchises out there. So love Qdoba, Columbus, Boston Market. Has tapered off a little bit since, but yeah, obviously love those franchises. What then from my knowledge from you, when I first not met you, but got involved or intertwined with you, was when you were back on the platform. Back down in Charlotte, working at Verizon and driving on the platform in your kind of off hours. How did you get back down to Charlotte, and what was your time like with Verizon?
Yeah, so that's kind of the career path I swapped to, was working at Verizon in customer service. And then pretty much I got impacted by COVID. They closed down their call centers, and they let us move anywhere in the country. Okay. And so that's how I made my way back down to North Carolina, kind of be with my family, still having a job I could work. But, I still had to have something on the side. And so once I had the opportunity to be in a city like Charlotte where I had DeliverThat again, I signed back up and started running that along with my Uber and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's always like an interesting position to be into, because like when you we have like shout out to these drivers. We have like Dylan and like we had Vellucci out there for a while, but like in Pew, like when you're a friend of like the company, you almost like get like shoveled like these random deliveries. Like you get those texts like, hey man, we need you right now. Like, hey man, are you off right now? Can you save us? Like stuff like that. That's always so funny to deal with.
Oh yeah, I think I recall you or Tristan calling me. I was at the gym or just getting breakfast. You're like, hey, I know you have work in about an hour, but can you do this delivery for us?
Like like we need it. Like it's not even like a can you. It's like a how soon can you be there?
Yeah.
That's so funny. And then we kind of will morph right in. So obviously, like you said, you're well aware of DeliverThat in 2017 as the company's evolving, and now it's becoming closer to what it is now. And is like Christian like nudging you and like elbowing you to come join the team? How do you end up actually getting into the company?
Yeah, so forever.
Internally, I should say.
Yeah, forever I felt like he was always trying to get me to come up here, and I told him, no, I'm finally back in North Carolina. I'm with my family and stuff like that. But I think the biggest thing was there was finally an opportunity for me that actually kind of fit my role.
Yeah, what you'd been doing.
Because previously it was like, hey, come up here, we'll find a spot for you in dispatch or recruiting or this or that. And at the time I was with Verizon. I was going through some training with them. I was a supervisor and team lead within the Verizon customer service for a little bit. So that was really beneficial. They paid for me to go back for grad school and get my MBA. So I learned a lot from them. And then kind of once my opportunities started to fizzle out there and things like that, I really opened my ears back up, looked for other jobs just in the Charlotte area. And that's when Christian had the conversation with me of, listen, we're trying to really make an official call center.
Right.
We need a customer service team because our dispatchers can't also be doing customer service. There's too many calls. And that's when that light kind of clicked of,
like, oh, man.
Well, I have this knowledge. No one else in the room currently has that. So let me see what I can bring to the table. Then that's how I came on officially just over a year, maybe a year and 4 months ago.
Yeah, Jim, you got his date on that paper in front of you. What do we got? I think it's 1/31, right? Yeah, January 31st.
That's first full-time day, but I did start back in November.
Yeah,
2021.
that is true. That is is first full-time day. But when you first came up here, who did you start initially right as like a CSR or like the manager of that department, or were you intertwined with dispatch before? I just don't like necessarily remember what we were even doing back then.
Yeah, that was before we actually split. So I came in, trained as a dispatcher, and then me and Lissa were the first two that kind of primarily then swapped to taking the phone calls. And then shortly after, Justin joined us. I think y'all are going to meet him soon.
Yep.
And then we just grew from there. And since then, we brought on about 10 or 14 people. Some of them have already moved to other parts of the company. I know you guys have already met Phil. Phil was one of those. He was one of the first ones we brought in. He's already moved over. He had Mignon as well. So it's awesome seeing everyone come in and being a good starting point and then seeing where they can go.
Yeah, especially because I think it is like a great ground floor like position to start within, because you do get to see like it's what we used to do with dispatch, right? Because that's everyone came in and you had to like understand the logistics of like how our drivers get assigned the deliveries, how they pick the delivery, how they get from A to B, how they use the app. And like now we almost utilize the CSR role as that more, because now you experience the driver pain points. So like if you know what driver A, B, C, D, E is going through on a day-to-day basis, now you can go to driver relations and remedy those issues. Now you can go to business development and find ways to get them deliveries that benefit them more and stuff like that. So it's always a great like baseline to have the CSR position, I feel like.
Absolutely. And that's the goal, to keep evolving it, keep seeing what we can do to get everyone as well trained as possible. But I'm excited to see, we've come a long way in the past year. I know over the next year or two, we'll continue.
Yeah, and so I just do want to go over, so like what is your day-to-day like nowadays? Like in 2023, what are you doing on a day-to-day basis?
So, obviously making sure we're set up for success in the morning, because you never know what happens overnight. Sometimes it's pretty calm. Sometimes there's lots of deliveries being picked up and drops. People want to know what their routes are. So, obviously just getting it all set up, making sure that we're good for the day. But then as the day goes on, making sure that we're keeping the call queues in control, that people aren't holding on the phone for too long. Same thing for text messages, making sure that we're getting to the text messages in the order, oldest text first. That way no one's waiting too long there. And then, as the day progresses on towards the end, it's really just kind of reflecting back on that day, seeing what we could do better for the next day.
Cool. And then something I did want to talk about, which we kind of started off as like mentioning the new hires and the training. You've kind of elevated what we do as far as bringing these people on and training, which was what I kind of always envisioned initially. Like we would have like this couple week period where the people weren't thrown into the fire. They actually like get a chance to learn the systems, go through like fake calls, fake orders, stuff like that, which is what you do now. So what is all that back end training like, and how do you feel that process is going with the new? I mean, you've brought on what, like 4 or 5 classes of new hires now. So I mean,
yeah,
you're doing a pretty damn good job.
I think this is like our 6th or 7th class, like new hire class that we've come through, and it's progressed each time. But yeah, I think the biggest is just getting those scenarios in, getting the repetition in a controlled environment. Similar to we can all send a text message. We all text in our lives every day. So it's a lot easier for someone to start out texting our drivers compared to making that phone call. But then the goal is just to keep them getting those repetitions in the controlled environment for about 2-3 weeks. So that way they can kind of experience everything, have that deer in headlights moment, be able to then think through it and overcome.
Yeah, that's amazing. What this might be a random question or something you don't have an answer to off the top of your head, but if a driver is in like a desperate need of like to get through to us or things like that, are there things they can do on their end that help them get a quicker response, or things you think would service us better that they shouldn't do, that like put them like at the bottom of the text queue or things like that?
Yeah, a big one is that, like I said, the text messages, because we do work the texts that are in there the longest. So if you're sending multiple texts back to back to back,
it takes you back to the top.
Yeah, it's resetting the time.
Right.
So basically, if you can express everything in one long message, then wait for us to respond. We'll get to you sooner, compared to if you send a message, wait about 4 minutes,
and send a new one. Like, hey, I really need help.
Yeah, because
you're actually gonna get worse help.
Yeah, because on our side, you go from waiting 4 minutes now to waiting only 10 seconds because you texted again.
Oh, dang.
So I recommend that, and we try to remind drivers of that too when they're texting in and they're sending 5 or 10 back-to-back messages. I know I text that way personally. I'll fire off a sentence, hit send. Fire off a sentence, hit send. But just the way that we're optimized, we recommend, hey, at least get your thoughts out in one and wait for us to respond. Now, obviously, feel free to, if you're on the phone holding, to try to text us, because you might get help quicker from someone in the text message. We have reps that are just assigned to our text messages and reps that are just assigned to phone calls, depending on the time of the day.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that's actually a great point. I wasn't necessarily aware of that. Cool. Well, Vic, I was pumped to get this one done with you. Obviously, you being kind of an out of towner who's now worked his way into the company. You're obviously a great life force within the company, always bringing great energy. I do want to go ahead and close it out though. We have our last segment. I gotta pull these questions up. I should just probably print them out on this sheet. I don't know why I do this every time. All right. We're going to close it out here with the last segment. It is called This or That. All I need you to do is pick one or the other. Maybe give me a little reason as to why, and we'll just go from there, all right?
All right.
Starting out, early mornings or late nights?
Early mornings.
How early are the mornings?
I don't know, 5 a.m., 6 a.m.
5 a.m., 6 a.m. Are we waking up to an alarm, or are we just waking up?
I need that alarm. For sure.
Are you like a multiple alarm person, or are you a one and done?
I gotta have the multiple. I can't trust myself. If I do one and done, I will hit that alarm in my sleep and roll back over. So at least 3 or 4 alarms.
That's too much. Excuse me. Next up, hot or cold?
I gotta say hot, because at the end of the day, I've been more miserable freezing cold than when I'm sitting there sweating.
Yeah, I could not agree with that anymore. Next up, dogs or cats?
Dogs. I'm sorry, I don't have either, but when it comes to it, I've had better experiences with dogs. Something about cats just can't do it.
You were living with Christian for a little while though. So he had Thor, you had Loki over there for a little bit. So you've had some,
and Kylo, the kitten.
Yeah, and Kylo. Did you have dogs growing up at all?
No. So I always had to enjoy other people's animals. Never had any of my own. My mom claimed she was allergic, but then on my grandma's deathbed, she actually exposed that no, she was not allergic. My mom just didn't like animals. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Just a lifelong secret that just gets torn to shreds. That's unbelievable. Books or movies?
Movies. I have a big problem of starting a book and then forgetting where I set it aside. At least the movie, I can always find it again.
Yeah, especially on like the streaming service. You just press play and you're back in it.
It's a bad excuse, but I'm living with it.
What do you have a favorite movie of all time, or a couple favorites?
I mean, it goes back to 2. It's between Super Troopers and School of Rock.
School of Rock.
School of Rock.
That is a classic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Underrated.
Yeah, Jack Black. Yeah, he has some. There's some classic scenes in that are just like iconic. Like they're very, very easy, good, quotable stuff. We will close it out with this last question here: home cooking or going out to eat?
Home cooking if I'm not making it.
Yeah. Did your mom, was she a cook growing up? Chef it up for you a little bit? Any favorite dishes?
She makes very solid tacos. And then macaroni and cheese.
Macaroni and cheese, so, like a little 3-cheese blend action? Like, are we...
No, it's Kraft.
Okay,
but,
okay.
Hey,
a little out of the box.
My mom made it, so I loved it. Not going to talk bad about her cooking. But.
Unbelievable stuff. Well, Vic, we appreciate taking out the time to let us meet you, get to know you a little bit more. I know everyone out there on the road will maybe love getting to finally see you face-to-face virtually and knowing you for all these years over the phones, over these text messages. And I appreciate getting to know you more than I already do. So thank you again, and we'll see you very soon.
Sounds good. Yeah, nice to meet everyone.
All right, man. Thank you.